Hello everyone, in this video we're going to talk about slow flight and why it is important to practice slow flight. It's not only for short landings or backcountry flying, it helps for any kind of flying. It will help you feel the airplane. You can say I don't need slow flight, I always land on a long runway. Sometimes conditions can change. It can be a shorter runway or one way in and you have a tailwind, so it's always good to practice. Here is an example, Johnson Creek in Idaho. It's a long grass strip. There is high density altitude, so the ground speed increases and we have to land one way, and as you can see there is some tailwind, so you need to control your speed so you don't land too long. Now in some extreme cases like this 700 feet grass strip and there is no go around, you must land very slow and hit the spot. So slow flight will give you the feel for the airplane and allows you to do better landings, shorter landings, and not floating on the runway. This kind of landing, there is no floating allowed, and it's very unforgiving if you come too fast. Absolutely no go around on this airstrip. This is a Cessna 206 in Stehekin, Washington. He does a great job of holding the airplane and do a smooth landing. No floating and plenty of runway left. So no need to come super slow, as you can see, and the idea is not to float, to have excess energy. This is Sirene Station in Corcovado National Park. The only way to come to this airstrip is to come slow over the trees. Very rough strip and short. As you can see here, part of the challenge is to find the airstrip. It's very difficult to locate. It is dense jungle. Here I'm doing slow flight, locating the airstrip, then we'll slow down even more for the landing. Found the airstrip, full flaps, slow down. There are big trees, so at the end you have to steep approach into a very rough short land. You can see I add some power to try to make a smooth landing because it is a really rough airstrip. In this case I use slow flight since I was looking for the airstrip. Again, slow flight on a tight turn to a gravel bar. It's a challenging one because it's a tight turn at slow speed, so you have to watch your angle of attack and slow flight. This is a great exercise I like to practice. A slow flight, 1 feet off the ground, so you also get to feel the ground effect. You look for a long runway when it's not a busy day, and you can fly the whole length of the runway. It will give you a great feel for the airplane at very slow speeds. I think this is the minimum speed the airplane will fly. A slow flight is the region of flight below the maximum lift of drag ratio, where induced drag becomes more significant than parasitic drag. A slow flight can be as slow as 3 to 5 knots above the stall speed. A slow flight is sometimes referred as to the region of reverse command, or on the back side of the power curve. This is because in slow flight more power is required to maintain a straight and level flight at lower airspeeds. So if you approach in slow flight, you can land really short and real slow. Very important during slow flight is to keep the ball center. And pick up the wing not only with the ailerons but also with rudder. It's a good idea to practice with no flaps, 20 degrees, 30 degrees or 40 if your airplane has 40 degrees of flaps. So you get used to the feeling of the airplane at very slow speeds. Also, it is a good idea to practice stalls and learn to recognize when the stall is coming. This is my friend Jughead in his Cessna 70, following me on my takeoff. He's coming real slow and follows me no problem on my takeoff, making a sharp left turn. Mastering slow flight allows you to do this kind of flying safely. Here is again Jughead in this Cessna 170. He's joined me on a landing at very slow flight. Slow approaches after you get used to slow flights can also allow you to do very smooth landings, just adding a little bit of power at the end. You can see in this view how I manage the controls, controlling the speed of the yoke and the altitude or descent rate with power. Also coming very slow for this gravel bar landing. After a while you will notice that slow flight is a lot about feeling the airplane, and here in this view you can see the instrument I have over the dash. It is an angle of attack indicator which helps a lot for having the best information of how's the wing producing lift, how much lift you have. This tool combined with training can make your landings much better. When flying off airport or in the backcountry, I try to slow down way ahead so I have to rush things. and I do a steady, slow approach. This is a Skycomish River in Washington State, and I'm going to land at Arrowhead gravel bar. It's pretty short, but the slow speed of the Cessna 170 helps a lot for this kind of landings. I have landed at this same gravel bar in the Cessna 182, but it was a lot more challenging for the 182 because it is a heavier airplane and the approach speed is about almost 10 miles an hour faster than the 170. So right here I'm doing slow flight with some power, and I'm controlling my descent with power and my speed with the yoke. You can see on this approach, although I'm coming very slow, you can see the airplane is very stable. It's not wobbly at all, and that's what I like about the Sportsman stall kit and the VGs. That helps with very slow approaches. The Cessna 170 touches down at about 40 miles an hour, which is pretty slow. So slow flying is not only useful for backcountry flying, short trips or off airport. I fly a CJ6 military trainer, and I practice lots of slow flight, stalls, so I get a feel of the airplane and I'm proficient, so I know I can go to shorter airports with no problems. In this case, in the CJ6, I like to practice slow flight with the gear and the flaps retracted, and also with the gear and the flaps down. It makes a big difference in this kind of airplane. Something about slow flight is good to practice often. I have close to 3,000 hours now and still practice slow flight often. Also, it's a good idea to practice stalls in the airplane you fly, so you get a feeling for them and when is the stall going to come. Also useful when flying formation. You're flying with a steerman. We're flying pretty slow. No problems. Hope you guys enjoy, and if you want to support Backcountry 182 YouTube channel, please follow me on Patreon. It is very easy to join, to be a patron of Backcountry 182. Go to the YouTube channel. On the right hand side there is the link, and then it takes you to the Patreon page. Here you can see all the tiers and what is all about, the support for Backcountry 182 YouTube channel. Also, another way to access the Patreon link is in the description of the video I put in YouTube on Backcountry 182 channel. There is a link for Patreon, so just click on that and it will take you to the page. Thank you for watching. It would be amazing if you guys are interested and give some support.